Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking time out of your busy evening to join us tonight to engage us and for you to be engaged as we continue to work to improve the community of Harrisburg, not on an individual level, but on a greater holistic level, a macro level. And so what I do want you to understand is that tonight is the second in a dialogue that really comes from the My Brother's Keeper initiative, which the mayor's office and others have gladly accepted for the city of Harrisburg. And this is just a continuation of the dialogue that began last week. We understand that it is important for us as a people and as a community to become healthier and better. And with that being said, we have certainly come together tonight to have a dialogue on community and public safety. One of the things that we want to stress tonight is that we are not here to hear the problems. Everyone here tonight is here because you know what the problems are. Our goal is not to be problem-oriented, but to be solution-based. And in order for us to do that, when we open the floor up for question and answers, we don't really want to beat up on our panelists, but we want to ask questions that are going to produce solution-based or solution-oriented responses from our panelists. And so please help us to do that. If you have a tirade that you want to go on, I'm going to say this isn't the forum for that, but there are plenty of people here that would be glad to talk to you about it after. Okay? So just want to be clear on that. Tonight, we are glad to have with us the mayor, Mayor Papenfuss, and the senior advisor, Carl Singleton. They are here tonight not to be part of the panel or even to be part of the discussion, but to be active listeners and taking notes as to what we are going to be discussing and what's going to take place here tonight. So we are not looking to hear from either of them. We're going to engage our panelists, and we are going to engage you who are here tonight. So we thank you for coming out. Excuse me. What we're going to ask each of our panelists to do tonight, and we'll start right here and we'll work our way down, is we're going to ask each of them so that everyone knows who's here to introduce themselves with their first and their last name, their connection to the city of Harrisburg, and why do they believe we need an open and ongoing dialogue to improve the areas of spirituality, education, and community. All right? And don't forget, panelists, I told you I'll help you out, so don't worry about getting stuck. All right? So if you don't mind picking up the mic and starting for us tonight. Flip the switch up. Thank you. Your name, your connection to Harrisburg, and then I'll tell you the last part in a second. Go ahead. You're a resident of Harrisburg and a student of the high school. That would be your connection. There you go. What's your name? Please, Marcus, do me a favor. Speak into the mic so they can hear you.
DeMarcus Johnson.
DeMarcus Johnson. DeMarcus Johnson is a student at John Harris High School. What grade are you in?
10.
You're in the 10th grade. And you have been here in Harrisburg all your life?
Like 5 years.
5 years. Where do you come from, DeMarcus?
Miami.
Miami. So there is a very big difference between where you come from and where you are now. No? Good. I'm glad you said that because we're going to use that very information to drive some conversation tonight. Thank you, DeMarcus. Next.
My name's Tatiana Ford. I lived in Harrisburg for 5 years and I came from Miami.
Okay. What grade are you in at John Harris?
I'm in
11th grade. Both DeMarcus and Tatiana are students at John Harris campus here in the Harrisburg School District, and they are part of the John Harris Impact organization there at the high school, and we're glad to have them. You can give. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Howarth. Grew up on Berry Hill Street, graduated from John Harris in 1990. Have lived in and around the city for the majority of my life. The reason I'm here tonight, I have spoken for years with fellow graduates, whether it be over Facebook or at reunions, football games, about how we can find different ways to improve the lives of our young folks in Harrisburg through solution-based initiatives. As it was already said, we can keep rehashing all the other stuff. We need to come up with some new things. And I was contacted by Carl Singleton and asked me to be involved in this, and it's an honor for me. I hope that I can help make a difference. Things aren't going to happen overnight, but with a lot of perseverance and dedication, we can make some change. Thank you.
Next.
I'm Kevin Crespo. I'm a student at John Harris. I'm in 10th grade, sorry.
Where are you from, Kevin?
I'm from Puerto Rico.
From Puerto Rico. Anything else you want to say about yourself or your family or?
No.
Nope? Okay, cool. It's all right.
My name is Chief Carter, Thomas Carter. I'm from Harrisburg, graduate of Harrisburg High School. I have a desire, a passion to make things better in this great city of ours. I have a dream week, and my dream is living on through Dr. King's dream. I believe that everybody deserves a chance, a second chance if it must be, but I have a desire to have a no entry dream. I have a desire to get back into the school systems, SRO systems, to reach out to the young men of color, to teach them the things, what not to do, how to stay out of trouble, not go to prison. We have over 2.2 million people behind bars right now. We have our government and private business invested into prisons, not into schools. I think it's a shame. I want to change that culture, and I would do anything that I can to break those chains.
My name is David Botero. I'm the Community Policing Coordinator for the City of Harrisburg, representing the Mayor's Office and the Chief of Police. My goal is to foster positive and healthy relationships across the community and to ensure not only safety but a higher quality of life for all of our neighbors.
My name is Carol Seipel, and I am a lifelong resident of Harrisburg. I graduated from the Harrisburg School District also, but I graduated from William Penn. I am a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and I have had a lot of interaction with the young people in this community. I'm an avid sports fan, so that's usually the primary contact that I have. And I love these people. I love these young people. We have some of the brightest young people and loving and kind, and we need to help them to get to the point where they can function in our society in a positive way. I have helped some children myself, limited, and you know, the gratitude that comes from them is fantastic. It's just a wonderful feeling. Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Don Rico Colden. I direct spiritual care for the Pinnacle Health System. I too am a Tiger, William Penn, class of 70, born and raised in Harrisburg, and I'm proud of our city. And I know that we have great potential to improve the conditions if we just come together. One of my interests, of course, is mobilizing the faith community around issues of public health, which includes violence and safety. And so I'm just glad to be here to be a part of this dialogue. So I hope we can all engage each other and come up with some solutions for improving the lives of our young people. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to start this by asking the question, and any of our panelists at any moment during this question can jump in and help us to answer the question. So maybe I should move this way so you all don't have to look over your shoulders. In light of all that has been taking place, it's died down a little, but we understand the things that took place in Ferguson, the things that took place in New York City, and in terms of those verdicts and those things that happened. Our question, well, the question that I pose to you tonight is, how do we, in a proactive manner, how do you, any one of you, feel that we as a community can act proactively in order that we don't have a Ferguson or a New York City happen in Harrisburg? That's open to anyone, the young people, anyone on the panel. So we don't, I don't want, and it's not just, we thank Chief Carter for being here, but I don't think it's just a police issue. So help us out.
I just want to say this, that every call that my officers go on, we're a call away from a Ferguson situation happening here. What happened out there, that is a tragedy. That is a real tragedy. I believe that things start at the top, and the police officers take the personality of the chief. They needed diversity training out there. They needed other things to get in contact with the people of color out there. They needed to hire more minority officers. Good officers come in all colors, but however, people can relate to that person that they have something in common with. That's just common sense and it's common practice. You know, I probably wouldn't get a West Shore job, but I fit right in Harrisburg. The Michael Brown situation is a tragedy. The New York situation is a tragedy. That young man, he had constant contact with the police up there. He had committed the same crime over 30 plus times. There was no reason to choke him out. They knew who he was. They could have easily, it's a summary violation anyway. They could have easily tased him. They could have handled things differently. Just recently, we had situations here where young men were outside. They had pellet guns. They had BB guns. They were shooting at people. And we get a phone call that teenagers have guns. My officers responded up there. They came in contact with the juveniles, and they ordered them to drop the weapons. Now, they would have been justified if they used deadly force, but they didn't. They talked them down. The juveniles put down the guns. We examined them, and they were pellet guns. So I'm really proud about that. But at any given time, a Ferguson situation can happen here, but I believe that I have some of the best officers in this country, and they really care for the people that they are policing. They do not want to hurt anybody. They want to help the youth. Now, I can't say that all officers are good, but I can say that the majority of my officers they're excellent officers.
Thank you, Chief.
Anybody want to jump in on that?
Anyone else from the panel want to address how we can be proactive in an interview? Any questions in the audience and that you want to pose to our panel? The mic was there. The mic, we ask that you come to the mic there, and you may ask any question, pose it to our panel. Is there anyone else want to respond to that? Go ahead.
I'll add, as far as how do we become proactive, you're asking? I think it's just incredibly important to be creative. It goes without saying, and if this is the forum to be real, I'll keep it real. We know that it's a small city with big city problems. We have to face the adversity where it stands. We're not going to talk about the problems necessarily today. We'll talk about the solutions, but we have to realize that we have an epidemic of drugs and guns, without a doubt, throughout the city. We have racism that's rampant throughout the city, and domestic violence that's rampant throughout the city. But we have to use our resources, we have to be innovative, and we have to continue to, and it sounds cliche, but it's important to build bridges, and this is not the time and not the place to destroy or to break any bridges, and that goes across all systems, top, bottom, left, and right. That's working with our service organizations, our faith-based organizations, our nonprofits, our school district, the city, the county, the state. And what people fail to realize at times is that we're such a cool and small, fun city that every resource is almost literally within arm's reach. If you're standing on the corner of 2nd and Market, you can walk across the street and talk with any one of your 3 commissioners at any given time. You can walk on that same corner and set up a meeting with your mayor. And you can stay on that same block and just take a pretty walk up the block and probably run into your governor. We have state representatives that are within arm's reach, texting, calling, emailing. All the answers are here. And I always respectfully laugh at those that say there's nothing to do in the city. And that when I hear that, I'm reminded that they're just not in the know. And that's not their fault. We have to keep a lot of people that aren't in touch via press releases, if they're not reading Penn Live, if they're not watching Channel 20, if they're not watching any of the other news stations, if they're not on Facebook or Twitter, they have access. They know about the drugs and the parties and the guns via Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They're not in the know of what the positive is. There's a lot of youth programs, tons of youth programs, a lot of police officers that are involved and teachers that are involved. And so what I'm getting at is we have to be creative and innovative, and we have to keep that outreach going. It's there. The resources are there, and we just have to keep those people. This room should be packed.
Yes.
It should be standing room only, and it's because of those that failed to reach, or maybe we failed to reach them, but they're not coming in, and they're not going to catch it on Channel 20, and they're not going to see it 5, 6, 10, or 11 o'clock news because they don't want to. So we have to meet them as well. But I mean, to get proactive, we got to get creative.
Don Rico, can you address that from a public health issue, from a public health standpoint, please?
Well, thank you for the invitation. I think it does take a proactive approach, and public health would be one, because public health causes us to look at populations, in particular when we look at data that really speaks to the social conditions of young boys and young men of color. We see that they're lacking in economically. When we talk about listening to Dave talk about all the fun things to do in the city, I'm aware that many young people don't have the basic necessities to just even barely survive. That's something that we have to look at, be honest with ourselves about that sense of powerlessness that young people have, so their attitudes aren't real positive about going to school and learning. Like, why do I go to school and learn? There's not much hope for me. Many young black males have told me to my face that they don't have a long life expectancy. There's not real sanctity for life. A loss of respect for family, community, leaders, and so.
So what do we do about that, Don Rico? What do we need to do?
Back in 2001, I had the opportunity to go to Emory School of Public Health, and we actually began to look at different cities across the country and looking at mapping assets. So one in particular is looking at how do hospitals partner with congregations to address social conditions. What are the attitudes of spiritual leaders? So I think it's about not looking at what we don't have, but let's look at the assets. Let's map them. We have plenty of assets in this room tonight. So I say we come together and begin to look at developing programs that will help to develop our young people socially, spiritually, and mentally.
Yes. Is it safe to say that if we are trying to improve the quality of life of our young people, that it is actually larger than our young people, number one? And if it is in fact larger than our young people, how do we begin then to address the issue of that which is larger than them? For example, if you're trying to improve the quality of life of young men of color or just our young boys and girls, period, then how is it that we improve the household? There are a number of issues that have to do with some parenting, and now not calling people bad parents, but saying that there are some things that there are some reasons why parents aren't home. They're working. So children are being are babysitting children, and that leaves a lot. So in other words, how do we begin to do things? And I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I don't think we need to create more programs, because you said it and Dan said it. There are tons of programs in this city. Mapping out the assets, knowing where the resources are important. But how do we get these high school kids to know where those resources are and then feel safe about using them? Anyone? Ma'am, you can, yes ma'am, you can absolutely go to the mic.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Weaver Carter. I'm a retired Harrisburg City Police officer. And I'm honored to say that I was flanked sitting here by my left and my right tonight with two young men of color that are very successful Harrisburg High graduates, Michael Simpson and William Royal. And they're both young fathers, and I think they do a heck of a job parenting. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come here tonight, because I kind of reached out to them because I thought maybe they could be an asset to this program and what's going on here. And in regards to what everyone has said, I know several of the panelists, and I would like to say, if I had a dream, and piggyback off of Chief Carter, because it's going to be Martin Luther King Day next week, I wish that this city of Harrisburg would utilize me in a part-time basis so that I could help give back and work with Dave Botero that does one heck of a job. And I think what needs to happen is these gentlemen that I brought, other guys and gals that are here, we need to get hands-on creating activities that these young people would want to do. You got to have midnight basketball. You got to have, not maybe for minors, but you have to get the 18 and over off the streets too, because they're the ones getting shot and killed mainly. And we need to do things like that. We need, when you talk about gangs out in Chicago, I think there was a priest out there a few years ago that had taken the gangs, and they had fights, but they didn't fight, you know, like this or with guns. They fought on a basketball court against their colors. We need to utilize that kind of stuff. The SRO unit, I'm all behind the mayor and the chief to get that back in operation, because I was a part of that, and that's an excellent program. Guys, do you think so? When the police were in the schools, and I mean, do you think we made a difference? I don't know. I didn't even tell them to, you know, cheer for me. But my point is, I just feel like that it's building rapport with people. When I worked the school unit, and I taught DARE classes in 5th grade, and even though DARE might be obsolete today, there's another program I'm sure that we could be presenting to young people. Just about, you know, how to like themselves as a person, and their self-esteem and things. And you know, I have so much energy, I hope somebody will utilize it. And unfortunately, I'm not a millionaire, so I need a little bit of cash, but I don't need all of it. But the point is...
We all need some.
The point is, I'm willing to work and help and do whatever I can. These guys I know want to get involved, and they're trying to figure out how, and that's why I'm here tonight, and I'll be quiet now. Thank you.
Thank you. With regards to that, did anyone on the panel? Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead. Help yourself.
The way I look at it is that we, as people, see the cops as the bad thing, because that's what we're used to seeing. When we call the cops, we only call them because something that bad had happened in our neighborhood, in our house. We don't usually see them in our school or in our neighbor doing something good. So every time we see a cop, we associate it with something bad. That's the way of me looking at it.
So what is the solution, Kevin, since you brought that up? How do we change the perception of police only showing up for bad things? How do we improve the communication between students or young people and the police? What is your opinion?
My opinion is that police and, you know, political figures should be involved in our community more. But they should be seen more. They should be talking to our youth. They should be doing a lot more than they're doing now.
Tell me where you want to see them. Because listen, I'm saying that not being funny. We've got the mayor here. We've got a senior advisor here. We got so many different people here. Tell me specifically where you want to see them, because I have another question that I'll piggyback in a minute, but tell me where you want to see them.
Schools can be fine. That's where you'll find most of the students at, which is schools. You know, cops, like police, can go to schools, talk to students, learn their names, learn where they come from, their background. We learn their names, the background, and maybe we get them more involved with the police, so we trust them more, and you know, crime start coming down.
If you don't know, go ahead, Carol. Go ahead, Ms. Simple.
And I think that involvement with the police and the young people should actually start very early. It should start in the kindergarten classes and early childhood centers, you know, to develop a rapport with the children, to let them know, you know, I'm here to help you. I'm not a bad guy. And the other thing, and I have to mention the negativity in one aspect. Unfortunately, the people tend, from what I see in the city, instead of making up their mind about what's going on, they rely on the media to tell them. We don't have that thinking anymore, where you read an article or you listen to somebody speak and you use your intellect to really understand what's going on. I think that our children in the schools need to be given more responsibility. Everything's done for them. You know, when we were in school, here I go with the grandmother, I walked a mile in the snow. No, I didn't, but when we were in school, we were responsible to have the things done. Like, we students had a part in everything that we did. Plays, dances, there was a committee.
Ms. Simple, let me ask you this question, because I see where you're going.
Okay.
And I want to draw it in just a little bit.
Thank you.
If we know that the Harrisburg School District, some years ago, found themselves in a place where we believe the district to be in financial distress. Because we believe the district was in financial distress, city taxes went up, teachers lost jobs, teachers haven't had pay raises in 5 years, we cut programs, we increased classroom sizes, a bunch of things that we know all took place. As a result of that, some of the very things that you're speaking of in the schools don't exist. How do we now get the school district, who working on a surplus, and I know they've got their ideas of what to do with the money, but how do we then get the school district to hear what you're saying, and instead of trying to put money into more consultants, put money into the very thing where we can come back with a drama club, we can come back with intramurals, and how do we do that?
Well, we need to recognize the ability of our youth, first of all. You know, somewhere along the line, we got this widespread attitude that they can't do anything. They don't know how to do anything. You know, here we're going to do this and this. You know, they will become a happier human being when they see the progress that they can make in accomplishing something. It's not going to cost them any more money because they're already there. You know, it's just giving them the opportunity to be in the process of doing the things in the school.
Okay. Don Rico, go ahead. And then Chief, and then anyone, like I said, if you have a question, you know, just prepare yourself at the mic. Don Rico, Chief, and then we'll take a question from the floor, or a solution from the floor.
I'm going to take another stab at what I was trying to get at with my earlier comments, and it's a basic truth that your lives have meaning. And I don't know that our young people have that belief system because there's, again, just from a lot of conversations that I've had with them, when they show up in the ED, even victims of gun violence, I've spoken to guys who were shot, and I talked to them about their lives and what led them down a certain path. And it's so sad that in listening to them, again, there is the issue of the lack of pride, but we have a rich history. Your ancestors, my ancestors, we're survivors, so when it comes to not having enough money to do something, well, we went out and carried bags of groceries. We
Shoveled walks when it snowed.
shoveled walks, we cut grass.
Yeah.
I worked on the corner store, stacking cans, for the grocer. I always had money in my pocket, so my mother who was a single parent, I didn't have to go to her and ask her for something that she didn't have. But I was also doing that because I was watching the life of my uncle, who was a professor of social work. So that gave me some motivation. I wanted to be like him, but I knew that a lot of it was dependent on what was I willing to do for myself. And my life had meaning because I saw what he did. And we heard the positive stories and things like that. So I think that's a basic issue for us to address. How do we get our young people to believe that their lives do have meaning?
Chief?
I just want to just piggyback off this young brother just said right here. Back when I was a very young man, a teenager, I had the same viewpoints of police officers. My belief was that they come into my neighborhood, they would tune us up, wouldn't talk to us, and just get out of there. I did not understand them, and what is being said right now, don't trust the police, you can't trust the police, they're not nice people. Well, I was always curious. I wanted to find out. I not only wanted to find out how a police officer worked and what they did, but I wanted to get in there and become part of it because I wanted to change things. I wanted to know, why the law said that thou shall do this, thou shall do that. And the only way to understand something is to become part of it. So I was that curious, I became part of it. And I said that I'm going to work my way up from the bottom, and because I want to be captain of our criminal section one day. I want to investigate murders, I want to be the best at it, and I want to take over. And God is good, because I come from Harrisburg High School. I come from the streets of this city back during the riot times. And now I'm sitting at the top of the police bureau. And I want to get into the schools because I know that Black lives matter. All lives matter, but I know that our Black youth, especially our Black young men, self-esteem is way down. It is way down, and they need to know the truth. You need to know that if you get in a fight at school, if you're charged with disorderly conduct, you're not going to get any grant money to go to college. You need to understand that if you're in school and if you do any kind of fighting, that your juvenile record follows you. Regardless of what they tell you, your record always follows you, because when you go in front of the judge, he's going to read your score, your prior scores, arrest scores. There are a lot of things that these youth need to be told, and one thing is they need to be told the truth. They need to understand. Being a police officer is an honorable occupation. In the 21st century, you're going to always need police officers and people in the health field and also teachers. I want to stress to our youth, to take part in the military. Join the military. It's an excellent opportunity to get out of the ghetto. Make Uncle Sam work for you. Do not fill Uncle Sam's prisons. Reverse that cycle, regardless of what the lynch theory was. You don't have to fall into that cycle. Willie Lynch, let's make him a storyteller.
He already was, Chief. Half of that crap wasn't even true anyway, but we've bought into it. Come on, from the audience, and then I'm going to ask one of our young people on this end of the panel to just give us some input, share with us. And then these young people that are in here, we're trying to make it better for you. Don't sit, talk to us. Let us know what's up. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Reverend Dwight Edwards, and I'm one of the ministers on the congregation here. As well, I've worked at in the school district, for the school district, and done any number of things. My concern is how do we coordinate the resources that we have that are already existing so we're not duplicating the services. How do we then take those resources and place them in a way for everyone to have access to those resources that need access? The other question I have, you brought up parenting. Well, you know, we need to work with our parents on 2 or 3 levels. And how do we have programs already established for assisting in parenting, or do we need to develop some? Because we've got parents that are half the age of their children. When you start having children and they're half your age, you stop growing and the children are growing. How do you help the children to grow beyond the place where you are? And the most frightening thing is that your children will grow beyond where you've gone, which then means you're left behind. And it also means that you're not equipped to deal with your child as you should. So there's fear as a parent because I can't deal with my child. So, you know, one solution when we talk about parenting is how can we, and can we put together something? Is there something already there to assist at that level? Is there something there to assist at that homework level? You see, because if my child comes home with homework that is beyond my thought capability, then I'm operating from a deficit. So I need a place where I can go and safely deal with my deficits and not have the world know where I'm going or what I'm doing.
Okay. So twofold question there. Anyone on the panel? I'd like to hear from some of our young people. One, I did hear about resources, but then the other I heard about parenting. So anyone on any of those areas, please feel free to jump in.
As a Harrisburg High School student, I hear that there's so many programs, but I don't hear nobody talking about what are the programs. I know that there's a lot of programs out there. I just don't know where are they, what are they about, and what do they do. That's one of the things that we should resolve as a community.
I would like to say I haven't said a lot tonight, but I'm taking a lot of notes. And that was a very good point, and that is one of the things I wrote down, is I'm going to take it on to find out what programs are out there so that we don't duplicate things. And I'm going to work with Carl. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to work to find out what programs we do have in the city and try and get a list of them and see which ones are working, which ones aren't working, and get the word out there for those topics.
And maybe it's not which ones are working, which ones not are working, but which ones need support.
Yes, sir. That also. Correct.
And which one needs to be guided for those students.
Yes.
I think one of the things is we're talking about resources. I'm going to keep going and then and give it to you all, and then we have another question at the mic. One of the issues in terms of resources and across the city, we say all of these resources exist. And certainly with the My Brother's Keeper initiative that the president, from the president's office that we are part of and we have are using for the catalyst for this conversation tonight. With that being said, we had spoken about doing some asset mapping, trying to figure where things are, and understanding that it's not just where they are, but what are they, and how does it benefit these young people. So go ahead, there was a response on the panel, and then we had a question from the floor. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest problems is that we have programs out here, but Group A does not talk to Group B, so they're duplicating services. And if we would learn how to talk to each other, you know, we wouldn't have half the problems. You know, like we use the internet, the social media to criticize each other and to do other things like that, but we should use it for what it was made for, a more positive manner. Because
Very
there
well.
are plenty of services out there.
Yes.
Services for parents, for students, and everything.
Did you have something, and then, or do we want to hear from him? But go ahead. Go ahead.
Me? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Respectfully, sir, and then there are, I don't want to sound like a know-it-all, but I could try to answer most of, or if not all of the questions with respect to homework. And this is for everybody. These are resources that are available, and I can go on and on about them, but Homework, the Joshua House. If you're not already familiar, that's a free service, and you have tutors on the 1400 block of Market Street. And then there are students available at SciTech already there waiting, and the Vista Corps. Yes, sir.
Hold on, Dwight. Hold on. That's why we have the public health piece here tonight, because I think that as we go to a larger piece, there's a piece missing that we haven't touched on yet is education, but then the larger piece is public health. And I think that some of that will be addressed with education and public health, because parents don't have GEDs, so there are a lot of things that we're talking about, solution-based things, but absolutely. Go ahead.
So, and this is a powerful mic, and your question is powerful, because the conversation isn't here, it goes to all the media channels. For parenting, Tri-County Community Action, they have a fatherhood program, the Fatherhood Academy. Our very good friend, the Reverend Nathaniel Gadsden, has the Fatherhood Coalition. Pinnacle Health has a program for families, for mothers, and for children, with funding as well. And I won't get into the specifics. Hamilton Health has programs. This is throughout the city, and it's also countywide. There is access to resources. And as far as keeping the youth involved, it isn't necessarily, it looks like we're duplicating. I totally see that. But what we're not duplicating are the families. Sometimes we have the same kid doing the same thing over and over, but that's because the parents are involved, or the parent is involved. The Boys and Girls Club has multiple locations with multiple programming. The YMCA downtown and uptown, multiple opportunities there with a lot of loving and caring mentors and service providers. I'll remind you that this is a city there's a 5K and a mile and a marathon for everything. You want to jump into a frozen river, they have programs for that as well.
No, I'm good.
Everything happens. The PAL, the Harrisburg, the Police Athletic League, and I'll remind you that the A in PAL isn't about athletics, it's about activities, and
right.
We have a young women's program. So I don't mean to, what I'm saying is there are answers and there are resources, and there really aren't any barriers. People talk about money being a barrier. There's so many free programs. I have 4 young men here that are part of our handball program. That's a free program every Wednesday.
And what we're going to do is some of the very resources that you've begun to lay out for us, they are going to be part of that. And so we are going to use a lot of tools to get those resources out. Go, sir, please, join us.
Good evening, my name is Jonathan Williams. I'm a Harrisburg High School graduate of 2004. Also, I'm a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. I'm not going to hear, thank you. I'm not here to ask any questions to your belief. I'm actually going to give some solutions. There are a lot of people on the panel. I see young people. Chief Carter, who I grew up with. He's known me since I've been about 5. So I remember when he was a patrol officer. But some of the solutions I want to give is there are a lot of young people in the room today who have done things, but because of our lack of unity amongst ourselves as people, predominantly some of the young people, because we may not fit each other's plans or schedules, the information doesn't get out. We're very uninformed as a people. So if I do something with Brother Michael, who is sitting right here, and say me and him have a problem, my information that may be valuable to this young man's life or this young lady's life is now held up because of our issues. Me and my partner right here, Anwar Curtis, we actually do a free, where none of our staff get paid, etiquette class here at Roland Middle School every Tuesday. The reason why some of the things that we do not get publicized is because we focus too much on people's names. We have to get out of the mindset of being in buildings and being in offices and expecting people to come there and get back on the ground. Because one thing we firmly believe in is I walk up on the corner and I talk to the dope boys. Because sometimes they don't have that communication with somebody who's going to call their phone or somebody who wants them to come down to the office. So what we do is, one thing I learned in the Marine Corps is called complacency. It's where you get comfortable. You think nothing changes. So we start doing the same things that we've done over the years, and we are really trying to break people out of being complacent. So one thing we can do by starting to do that is put more officers on foot. I lived in the city my entire life outside of going into the Marine Corps, and all I've seen was officers drive up and down the block. When I was growing up, officers walked down my block. They knew my mother by her first name. They knew my grandmother by her first name. We need to start getting back to that. Instead of relying on the technology we have today like Facebook, Twitter, start getting back to the streets, because this is where it all starts at. But we have to really start recognizing each other on the same levels. We have not been doing that. Everything is, we don't work off of what your religion is. We don't care the color of your skin. You could be Muslim, Christian, it does not matter. When it talks about saving children's lives, that's what we're about. And we need to start identifying the people who are truly passionate, not someone who just stands up and speaks when it's a good time to do it. I do this with no money. I don't get paid for anything I've done. I've been an after school teacher as long with some of the gentlemen who's sitting right here. Outside of them, I also am a father. I just had my first child. He'd be 8 months old this month. We have to start getting past the doors that we put up as people. So I'm not going to here to ask y'all any questions, but I'm telling you that I have tons of solutions that we can start using, but it's up for us as people to start addressing and identifying them. Once again, there's an etiquette class at Roland Middle School.
Where else can that etiquette class go?
It can go anywhere. It can go to college. It can go to high school. Some of the students in here know our faces. It can go on the streets. If I have to stand outside tonight to teach children how to tie a tie, to tell them that I love them, I will do it. So until we start getting more people, and I don't want any applause for this, because a lot of times people think that's what we're here for, and it's not applause.
And let me just say, just to piggyback on what you said, to be very plain, I've been pastoring in this city for 5 years, and I've been very quiet. I've known Anwar almost as long as that, and I've been quiet and observing for the very reason that I don't need a mic to make a difference.
Yes, sir.
You don't need a lot of money. You need heart and passion to make a difference. And so tonight, with your solutions that you bring to the table, believe me, we're gonna tap you. So don't.
And I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer, but I just wanted to say two more things to us to let's start dropping the boundaries amongst ourselves. Like tonight, even after the panel was done, people need to start changing some numbers, start knowing who some people are. Secondly, I don't want any of the youth who are in the room to think that, oh, I'm just some goody two-shoes standing up here who went to the Marine Corps. I didn't have the best grades. I grew up in the streets. I picked up guns. Michael, you grew up, what, around the block from me? So I'm not perfect. I don't stand up here as telling you that the world is easy and that everything is going to be granted to you if you're just a nice person. Sometimes you got to bend down, lace your boots up, and get to the mud. Chief Carter, you've asked me numerous times since I came home from the service, brother, when you going to sign up and help me run my police force?
I'm still asking you.
Well, hey, I picked up another lane, and actually right now I'm going to get my teaching degree, so who knows? Maybe I can be a part-time cop and also be a teacher. So also too, what I want to touch on is relationships too as well. Start getting people to communicate better. Where I want to touch on what you said about policemen. I do it all the time, and some of your officers hate it. I'll see them, hey, what's up, sir? Slow down, stop. And they'll ask me, is something wrong? And I go, no, I just want to talk to you. I want to know who's driving up and down the block. So until we get back to that, like I said, I'm not blaming anybody, but we need to start gauging each other. Thank you.
Thank you. I think many of us in the room, the older ones, can identify with the fact that we grew up in community. We did not grow up in isolation. So, when I acted up, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but when I acted up down the street at the basketball court, before I got home, we didn't have cell phones and Instagram and Facebook, but somehow or another, boy, those rotary phones and those push button phones worked faster than my feet, because even before I could get home, someone at home knew that I was coming home and had done something wrong, and someone along the way even stopped me and read me the riot act, and some of them even had permission to beat my behind. One of the things that we have going on is we don't have a sense of community, and that's what we're talking about. We're trying to build community, and we build community, and I believe this wholeheartedly, that if we build families, families build children. Children and families together build a strong community. We have become a people of isolation. Social media, Mr. Abdullah, social media has made us not know how to communicate with one another. But our young people sure do. I don't know, Ms. Sipple, I don't know what young people you met that don't know a whole lot. But I tell you one thing, if they know how to get beyond the firewall on in the Harrisburg School District to get on websites they're not supposed to get on, them kids know something. And so we want to engage them and get them into know. Go ahead, Mr. Abdullah. I see you standing. I want to give you the opportunity.
Okay. My name is Dahan Abdullah. I was born in Philly, but I grew up here. I graduated from the high school in 2000. And I've been teaching for a decade now in the Harrisburg School District. Can I see quickly a show of hands, who's from Harrisburg, who lives here and grew up here? Okay, a big part of what can bring about a solution for us is that we have more homegrown leadership. We need to stop looking for somebody to solve our problems for us. The fact of the matter is, the problems will never be solved until we do it ourselves. We can't wait for other people to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. And so if we're looking for government agencies or, I don't know, anybody else to do it, it's not going to happen. We have to do it ourselves. It's a responsibility for everybody who sees it as an issue to step up and try to make some changes. What is the solution? Well, the solution is just like this brother was talking about. I grew up here, I graduated from here. I went to college and I got my degree in education, and I came back and I taught here. I turned down jobs other places so I could come back and teach here. And I was a substitute teacher for a year until I could get my foot in the door, and 9 years later, after that, I'm still here. Our kids need people who they can relate to. When I was growing up, I had experiences. I had my experiences on the street just like anybody else, but it was a lot that I had to learn on my own. I had to grow myself up, and a lot of what the youth need is models. They need people who are from here, people who can relate to them, people who know the struggle, and people who, in spite of everything that we have to go through, you know, can model where we have to go and what's possible for us. And so the solution is everybody who cares and feels like this is an issue that needs to be addressed, well, you step up. Get to know the other people who care and work on being an example for everybody else. That's the solution.
If I may, one of my goals that we discussed last week was exactly that there's two gentlemen I see sitting in the back here that I haven't seen for years, that we went to high school together. And one of my goals is to get with the alumni from Harrisburg and William Penn and try and get some folks together that we can have some meetings with the kids so that the kids can see that, yes, you grew up in the city, but success comes in many ways. And we've gone on to do great things and come back here and done greater things. And so that is one of my initiatives, is to try and do that. So thank you.
To add on what he said, most of the problems with the youth start because we don't have somebody to look up to, somebody that's there when we need them. Fortunately, I had a couple of people that were there to help me when I most need them, like Mr. Montgomery present here, or Mr. Edmonds, or Ms. Turman. They're there to help me every time I need them. I know I can rely on them when I have a problem, so I don't have to rely on doing it the wrong way. So we need more people to help the students, and so they can have a role model to look up to. Did you have something? Go ahead.
My name is Casey Stokes Rodriguez, and I have the privilege of working with these young people in the Impact Club. And believe it or not, they're actually very talkative on Wednesdays. So I thought I'd just kind of let everyone know what Impact is, and then maybe that could be a catalyst to have them talking about some of the projects we're working on. So we meet every Wednesday, and the basis of the group is just we spend a lot of time identifying what community is, what communities we're involved in, and then identifying things that aren't so great in our communities. And like everyone's been reiterating here, finding out how we can, as youth, as people that work in the school, be a part of that solution. And so one thing I heard is that this room should be packed. And we talked before when we were invited by Mr. Singleton about coming here, just kind of talking to other students in the school, and no one at John Harris knows that this is going on tonight unless, I don't know, they turned on the news or, you know, they're involved in different things. And I also heard that people that aren't here don't want to hear about it. And I think that youth are creative with Instagram and Facebook, and it's our job to get creative to find out what outlets the youth are looking at and find out how to get the information on things that they're looking at. So I think even having flyers or getting it out of John Harris, because we tried to rally people, but no one really knew what it was about. So that's the first thing. The second thing is people aren't here because of safety. We've heard a lot, right? Taking the bus at night or finding a way to get here. And even one of the projects that Tatiana, all three of you were integral in starting, but was the idea of safety and even walking to and from school at the high, there's been a lot of issues lately, and young people that we're working with. And the idea is that I don't know exactly what the radius is that you have to walk, but as it gets darker in the winter months, it's dangerous to walk. And Tatiana is part of, she goes to SciTech, and with her ID badge, she can access the Cat City bus. We're talking about John Harris students don't have that access, and so something that maybe if one of you guys could talk about a little bit is doing a project to try and rally, talk to Cat, get surveys out to have John Harris part of being able to
Tatiana,
have
would you
access
share
to
with
the
us
city.
about that? What you guys are working on from Impact to help improve some of the issues of safety for our young people? Some of the doors you guys are trying to knock down and some of the barriers we're trying to overcome. Maybe you can say something to that.
Well, you want to talk about just the survey, maybe, if you feel comfortable? No.
It's okay. I don't want to hurt you, but I don't want you to feel that go ahead. You're okay.
Well, Impact Club is like getting together to know each other more, and see behind transportation to get places, and
Is your group currently working on a proposal to take to CAT or some other organization that would help Harrisburg campus, John Harris campus students to have the same privilege with their ID as the SciTech students do? What do you think would benefit all of our students in the high schools being able to do that, use their ID or whatever to use public transportation? How would that improve the quality of life for our young people?
I think it would improve better. If we get bus pass, whatever.
Talk in the mic so they can hear you. It's okay. Listen, you got a lot of good things to say, and there was a time I didn't like to talk like this, but now I can't get enough. So go ahead. It's okay.
If we get bus passes, whatever, I think that would be better, so people won't have to walk home and they won't be scared of the dark and stuff like that.
Do you think it helps improve access to some of our young people to some of the resources that we're talking about, as well as helping them to get back and forth to jobs that they may need to work? Thank you.
Me personally, I like walking. I enjoy walking. I shouldn't be afraid of walking on my own city, feeling that somebody is going to be behind me trying to rob me, stab me, or do something. I should feel that the city is safe enough for me to walk from school home. I enjoy walking. I really don't like the bus, and I really don't like driving to and from school. So that's one of the main things we should fix, is people feeling safe enough to just walk.
How do we make them feel safe? Give me maybe two things. Because remember, we're trying to come up with some solutions. We got the mayor taking notes. We got his senior advisor taking notes. The news crews are here recording all that we're doing. We're going to talk about some solutions. You're a young person that says you like to walk, but you don't want to feel like it's unsafe to do so. Give me two things that you think that we, as an overall community, could do to help make it safer for us to walk.
I think crime start when people start feeling alone. And I think that if the police were more involved, we knew them better, we know where they came from and all that, I think we just make up a connection and we will feel more safe walking around knowing that there's somebody behind us that is not trying to get us, but trying to protect us.
Go ahead. We have Ms. Sipple, we have Don Rico, and then we'll come back to the floor. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I wanted to mention about neighborhood watch groups. So it's not just up to the police, but it's up to the citizens throughout the city. My mother's 88. She led a neighborhood watch group up until about a year ago when she needed knee surgery, but she's too stubborn to get it. But there are neighborhood watch groups all around the city, and it sounds to me like maybe one of the solutions is for us to find a way to share our information, whether it's a broadcast network or whether it's our own newspaper or our newsletters, but some kind of communication network that we maybe even using social media and having young people be the ambassadors of that type of program, doing intergenerational programs. You guys have a lot to teach us. You know, I have a phone, but there's a, you know, I got lost one time. I had gone someplace out in the country, and I tried to find the map on my phone. I couldn't even get it connected. Thank goodness there was a police officer that came by and said, "Are you lost, sir?" I said, "Yes." But I'm saying all that to say, you guys have lots of knowledge that you can share with us about how we should be communicating. You know, how is technology advancing? Again, you have a lot to teach us, but we need to get to know each other, and we need a communication network, and let's get over this spirit of apathy. You know, I often hear people say it's like there's a cloud over this city. That for me is spiritual, and I think we can come together and pray or sing or celebrate or whatever, and, you know, cast out those evil spirits. I'm saying that not to be funny or smart, but really when the community comes together, you know, that does give us reason to celebrate. I was sitting here thinking we should be celebrating the fact that we're convening tonight because of the mayor and Carl and Joyce, and we have leadership in the community. So there's a lot for us to begin celebrating. Let's celebrate each other. Let's give ourselves a hand for being here tonight. I don't know, but there's a lot to be joyful about, and so I believe it's a choice.
I just want to say that I understand what this young man, he's saying right here, you know, that we should feel safe walking to and from school. Crime is down, though. Crime in the city is down. It's going to continue to drop. What we need is the city to come together as a whole and report these kids who are carrying guns, who are out there robbing people and doing things that they should not be out there doing. There is no reason why every young person at school should not be having a good time and enjoying being a teenager, enjoying to be able to go to school, get a good education, a good foundation on life, and to move on. It's only about 10% of this population that is acting up. Anyway, I can show you some of the best people in the whole world that I met that come from the city, that come from Hall Manor, uptown, on the hill, you know, but I don't like to divide the city up like this because we are all from Harrisburg. That's what we all have to understand, that we are from Harrisburg. It is no divide. There is no separation. We have to learn how to respect each other and to love each other and learn how to talk. I don't know why kids want to rob each other for the newest Michael Jordan shoes. I don't know why kids want to buy the newest Michael Jordan shoes. Because Michael Jordan, he said that I don't sell those shoes for ghetto kids, I made it for middle-class white kids. And truth be known, Michael Jordan supports building prisons. So Michael Jordan supports building prisons for guess who? Now, I can't knock Michael Jordan because he's a businessman. But however, he can take that money, that energy that he has to do something more positive for us. So please, it's your own peers that are out there pressuring. It's not the cops out there killing youth. Regardless of what the news media says, it's not the cops doing it. It is black on black crime. And that's what has to stop. And one way to get it to stop is to put SROs in the city school system. Let us be up there, let us teach our courses, our classes, and to educate these youth.
Okay, let me take this from the community very quickly, from the floor. Ms. Sipple has something she needs to share, so after you, I'm going to come right back to you, and then we're going to begin to wrap some things up. Go ahead.
All right, a couple of things. Solution. You know, the Harrisburg, the state police have a police academy, and some of the kids get a chance to go to that police academy for 2 weeks. I don't know if it's still running or not. Maybe we can have something similar to that, or maybe we can add to that and have an academy that's separate, or get kids from Harrisburg to be part of that academy, to get that 2-week or 1-week experience. Maybe it could go on for the whole summer, and every week there's a cycle that runs through where you get different kids to get another experience, to learn something about law enforcement, but also they also see the policemen that they deal with in another light. So you get to see them in an encouraging role, you get to see them in a supporting role, as well you get to learn something about law enforcement yourself. If you have an interest in law enforcement, there's an opportunity for you to take advantage or look at that as a career somewhere along the line. I don't know what cutoffs they would have, but it's something that's something to think about as an activity for the summer. Community policing is a great thing, and I think that's necessary. Improvement or accent on the neighborhood watch programs, accent on them, to get them to really function. Some of them are neighborhood watch in name. We need them to be functional. Some of them are still striving to get to the place where they need to be. So resources to kind of kick those along. The other thing is, as we talk tonight, we're talking about resources and people that have come in with different programs. How many people here knew about the programs that other folk brought in here tonight? What I'm talking about is cataloging those resources and getting...
And that's what we said, right.
Getting so that they can go out there, because you're hearing things here about programs that other people didn't know about. And of course, I'm running, but the last thing I want to run with is that I'm not from Harrisburg. I'm not. I came from Philadelphia, and I hung out on the streets, and I got in a whole lot of trouble, and I did a whole lot of different things. But don't think Harrisburg is different from Philadelphia, but my Philadelphia experience can do some wonders for Harrisburg folk as well. So don't isolate me, my brothers. Don't isolate me because I'm not from here or I didn't originate here, but accept me for the experiences I have. And that's another thing. We've got to accept the experiences that folk have from a broad variety of communities. Biggest problem we got here is we got about 5 or 6 separate communities where folk don't accept one another from.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we, with the My Brother's Keeper initiative, and we have 4 overarching points that I'm going to share in closing. One of the greatest things that's keeping us from being able to be more effective. Those of you who want to speak, if you can begin to line up at the mic, we're going to give you that opportunity. One of the biggest things is certainly our inability to trust one another. Julian Malveaux, I don't know how many of you know of Dr. Julian Malveaux, great economist, was a college president. I had an opportunity when I worked at Shippensburg University as the Assistant Director of Multicultural Student Affairs to meet Ms. Malveaux on a very personal level. And we were riding down the street, riding from the airport here in Harrisburg back to Shippensburg, and we got into a great debate and discussion. And she said, we in the black community, and I'm just going to say this, if we got together with all of the working class adults in our community, and for a year, every adult put $1 in the same pot for a day, for a year, how much buying power one community would be able to have. One of the issues is our lack of trust of one another and our ability to come together over, not just coming down across socioeconomic prices, because some of us blacks have gotten it and think we have attained it, and we've moved out of the city and we've turned our back on the very city that made us who we are today. So I think there are a lot of things, and we are trying to be very solution-based. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Charles Jackson. I'm from Harrisburg. I grew up here, and I was educated through the Harrisburg School District. I just wanted to touch base on what Mr. Crespo said. And one of the main things that I was looking to be said was what Pastor Montgomery just said. That's trust. You have all of these politicians and high-class officials saying this, that, and the other, and they know who you are, they know where you live when it becomes election time. But they don't knock on your door to see if you're okay, see if your child's okay. These kids do not trust everybody, and it starts with their parents. We've been deceived in Harrisburg for so long, it's become a norm. I'm a parent. 10 years ago, my son got shot in his back with a .30-30 deer rifle. Thank God he's still alive. I go to the umpteenth degree for these kids a lot of times. I don't do it for recognition either. I don't. But it's got to start somewhere. And I commend this young man, even though he doesn't want that recognition. I've watched Michael, I've watched Mr. Royal, I've watched Mr. Singleton, I've watched many young men grow up in this city. And here I am. I took from this city too. I wasn't the best student here, the best child here, none of that. Yes, I come from the projects, but look at me now. There's a chance that you can turn your life around. But these kids and parents need to see people that they trust. We need people in these offices that are homegrown, that they see on a daily basis, not just for a few hours and get a spiel thrown at them and they don't worry about them after dark. And that child may not eat. That parent may not be able to pay their bills. You wouldn't know that because all you do is come in the city for a few hours. You don't really care.
Chuck, can I say this and as a way to address that a little bit? If you're talking about our elected officials, absolutely, which I hear you saying, absolutely, we elected them. Absolutely. Hold on, let me finish. Most of us elected them. Hear me out. And when I say that is because I had this conversation today with a couple of my students in my 8th grade class. There's a difference between voting and being an educated voter. Many of us go to the polls and vote, right? And then we have the nerve to complain when we weren't informed because the very person we voted on, because they were part of the popularity crew, really hasn't done anything for us. And the very person that could have made a difference for us, we don't vote them in the office, but we kick them in the butt. So some of it we have to take ownership of. And as far as elected officials, we have the power. Even if I didn't vote this election, now I want to get registered and have a voice. Now, guess what? Be an educated voter, don't just be a voter. And if that person is not stepping up to the plate and addressing the very issues that plaguing our communities, then we ought to get together and vote them out. White, black, polka dot, or pinstripe. We have to take ownership of that. And so we can't get mad at them when they do what we allow them to do. When they come in, pimp us, and prostitute us every single election cycle, that's our fault, not theirs.
I totally agree, but at the same time, we need to start having people there that they trust, that they can listen to get educated about these elections. They don't trust people, so they don't even come out and vote. And those that do just hurry up and do it because it's their right. They don't know. So I'm not.
I got you, bro. I'm with you. You know, you and I talk, so I'm already there. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Angela Johnson, and I'm an Uptown resident. I was born and raised in Stilton, but Stilton 15 years ago. I say that because people of my age and up realize there is a difference between Stilton and Harrisburg, or at least there was. However, my husband is born and raised uptown. Although he's not a cougar, he is a crusader. So have mercy on him.
It's okay.
I came to the mic because I would like to know what solutions anybody in here could suggest for the educational administrative in the school district, not the teachers or custodians or people who work in the cafeteria, but solely the administration. How do you get them to decide to change their partnership and their alliance with the school-to-prison pipeline? I say that specifically because a lot has been in the news about the 4 young gentlemen who attempted to rob, so to speak, the legislator. Several of those gentlemen were students of the former Votech school. So how do you get an administration who has decided that it is more profitable to partner with the prison to continue to fund Dauphin County and all of their prison programs instead of giving these young men opportunities to learn how to become electricians and carpenters, to hold those types of tools in their hands instead of holding the tools of death and destruction. How do we get them to decide to change their mind and go back to being the second line of defense? When the home life breaks down, the school is the second line of defense to catch all of the children who are being unfed, who have not showered, who have difficulties, they are ESL, and it is their job with all of their vast resources and including their increased tax base that I am paying. How do we get them to decide that it is better to now become the second line of defense for these children instead of wanting to be partners with continuing the prison pipeline?
Our presence. Can I tell you? Our presence. Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
You had touched on, and this gentleman touched on the political aspect with our elected leaders. If anyone could explain to me how in a redrawn district where you are redrawn to become even more of a minority than what you already were, how do you get those legislatures and those people who are supposedly representing you now, how do you get them to have your interests at heart? I say that because a lot of the people who represent us now do not represent us. They don't need to represent us, even when we do exercise our rights to vote. And I think a lot of people, aside from in Ferguson, but in the nation as a whole, fail to realize that the anger that these young people see stems because they see that they are disappointed at home in a situation that they are essentially held hostage in. They cannot work because they are children, and in this country we have laws that do not allow child labor. They cannot escape whatever the situation is at their home, so they are essentially held hostage. They then go to a school and are angry, and that second line of defense has totally decided to teach them to be nothing but test takers. When they go to college, they cannot get a degree in test taking. They cannot go fill out an application for a job to be a test taker. So therefore, that is where that anger stems from. That is why they go to the streets and they vandalize. That is why they go out here and they rob legislatures, because they are angry, because nobody is giving them any opportunities. At one time, when they could get jobs in a Hardee's or a McDonald's, they can't because our economy has gotten to where you have 43-year-old adults with 3 children at home using that as a full-time job to try and support their family. So all of those jobs that used to go to teenagers to keep them off the streets, to give them money, now are taken up by adults trying to raise a family. So what solutions are those? How do you get a school district to value students at one high school equally as they value the students in this high school that's downtown?
Let me answer your questions. And then I got to say this real quick. These young people are going to have to go, so their ride is here, so we want to give them an opportunity to wrap up. Just before you jump, let me just say this. I want to say it back up this way. How many of our parents who want SciTech and Harrisburg, John Harris campus to be treated equally show up at school board meetings? No, I'm not saying you, ma'am. I'm saying in general. The issue is our presence. When we as a collective show up, we change the agenda. Believe it or not, we change the agenda. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen over the last 3 months. We've shown up in places they didn't expect us to show up, have meetings at times they know we are working and they know that many of us can't be there, but we got to make a concerted effort as a community to show up. And then not only show up, but speak up. And it does. To me, that makes a difference. You're a concerned parent. We get 50 concerned parents to roll up at one school board meeting. There aren't 50 seats in the room. We can change the agenda real quick.
It's adjourned and close and leave.
Yes, we can change that very quickly. Any of our young people have anything to say in closing? And then I got to give it to Miss Hook because she's been holding on. I got you. And once our young people leave, we have a few moments to entertain all questions. If you have it, I'm not going to let you go. I'm sorry? I got you. I got you on board. I got you. So I want to see if our young people want to wrap up. And just before they go, how about we just yield to you very quickly and allow you to do that?
My opinion is, well, I speak for most of the students in Harrisburg High. We don't feel appreciated by the administration. There's like, I know a couple of people, well, a group of people that have made mistakes in the first couple of years of high school, and there's not a program in place to help them succeed. Like me, I'm not an angel. I messed up my 2 first years of high school, and now I'm paying for that. But there's nothing that can help me because I want to succeed. I want to go to college. I want to be a lawyer. But I'm trying to reach out to everybody. I've talked to principals, and they basically tell me, you're on your own. You made the mistake, now you're paying for it. But I think is that the school district should just play something, you know, for people who regret what they did and want to succeed in life. There should be a program for that.
Your school guidance counselor is supposed to provide you with their resources because that is their job. That is what they were hired for. If they are not providing you with those resources, then you can go to the Department of Education on their website and pull down their complaint form and file a complaint. If you are a student with special needs or special education, there's also a complaint form on there that you can fill out as well because that is their job. The school district also has counselors. And I've never seen a school district with this many counselors, but that is their job to provide you with those resources. And if they are not, you can complain to the Department of Ed.
Thank you. Mr. Curtis, please speak to us, my brother. Go ahead, Miss Simple. I'm sorry. Don't, Miss Seipel, I'm sorry. Don't beat me, Miss Seipel. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Onward Curtis, Bishop McDevitt graduate, so you're not by yourself, my brother. One thing I just want to say to all the youth, black boys who will become black men, you matter. So my solution is don't ever forget that, especially for you. I only say that not to call you out, but when it was time for you to say anything, and many people on the panel said that we lack self-esteem. I understand that. If no black man has ever told you you matter, I will be the first. Don't ever forget that. Every day you look yourself in the mirror, this goes for all black people. Because without us, none of this, nothing will work. Nothing will work. We have many strong black leaders in our community, but like some people say, they only come out when it's good for them to come out. Don't ever deprive yourself. You matter. All right? You matter.
Thank you. We'll continue to hear from those who are in line. Miss Dawn, won't you jump in front of them young people real quick? It's okay.
My name is Dawn Reeves. I'm a graduate of Harrisburg High School and Shippensburg University, and I work for the Harrisburg School District. And I wanted to, you talked about a lot of resources and programs available for children and families and things like that. And I wanted to make a suggestion because I didn't think we were here to complain. We were here to talk about solutions.
Absolutely.
Correct? Okay. So I think one of the things that I would like to suggest is that when new programs or even programs that are already in existence are developed, that we talk to our parents that we already have in those programs, our children that we already have in those programs, find out from them what it is that they want, what they want to see, and how do we go about drawing in other families and other parents and other children and things like that so that they can grow. Because like you said, we have the same families and children in several programs at different locations. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of programs out there. I know that myself. There are a lot. But how we talk to the young people and find out from them, how do we go about getting the word out to your peers? We just ask the people that we're working with because we don't know it all. We don't know where to go. They do. These are the people that we want to reach. So we need to find out from them, how do we go about doing those types of things and make it easier for the adults that want to do this. The other piece is that I want to say is that when we start developing and having these different programs throughout the city or whatever, a lot of them are grant funded and the grants are going to run out. We know that, okay? How do we sustain those? Okay, you get grant funding for 5 years and you know what 5 years is going to be over, so the program's going to be over. So within that 5 years, how do we keep this program going, especially when they are successful? And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Give our young people, if you will, just give our young people that are on the panel that have to leave tonight, give them a hand. Let us encourage them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, we said we were going to be done at 8, but I'm going to give all who are standing an opportunity to speak, and then we're going to wrap up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I am Devon Ward, and I was just wanted to address. My name is Devon Ward, and I just wanted to address communication. I believe like communication is the key. Like no matter what, like everywhere, like communication everywhere. Like so basically, I'm saying like when I walk down the street and I see like a police officer and I see him and he stops me, I don't want him to ask me why. What are you here? What are you doing? I want to ask him, hey bud, how you doing? How was your day? Stuff like that. And I want teachers too. And when they say that they're here, I don't want to just hear you say it. I want you to show me that you're here. I want like you to step here, like forget all this stuff right here. Me and you right here. We are right here. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you want, and I got you. And it's just that and that. I just think that communication could take us everywhere. Because if we don't talk, we don't know what we want. So you got to say something. If you don't say something, you won't stand for nothing.
Thank you. Go ahead, young man. You know I'm proud of you, right? You know I'm proud of you, right? Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name is Christian Altagracia. I go to John Harris High. I just want to, talk about the thing that Miss, excuse me, ma'am, what's your name?
Miss Carol Seipel.
Miss who?
Seipel.
Yeah, Miss Seipel was nice to meet you, man. But I just want to, about the buses, I'm not gonna lie, I miss a lot of school, but it's because my mom sometimes don't have the money or in her card to fill up gas and take me to school. So I'm saying about the bus passes. I try to get on the bus before with that thing because they told me that I could go to school with it, and it didn't work. So I was like, I had to walk in the cold. And I'm not gonna lie, it's cold out here. Whoa, walking in that, and you know, like I just want, you know, an opportunity to like get on the bus and go to school and get my education, and I can't get my education sitting at home. And like they keep saying that they're here for the children and everything, but I don't see it. Like, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that Mr. Baskerville? Good to see you, man. It looks like you're growing up well. Go ahead and say something to us.
My name is Carlos Hyman Baskerville. I mean, everybody know me. I went to Roland Middle School. Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Abdullah, he used to be my teachers. I know Mr. Singleton too, and Mr. Dave. How you doing, Chief? Nah, I mean, but as I was growing up, I had been a problem child for a while. I've been kicked out of school twice over me acting a fool. I'm just trying to get my community back together, trying to make a better community now, trying to involve myself. I'm trying to have some people building some more Boys and Girls Club for children, so we can all grow up, play basketball and sport. So I mean, I want some people to help me get back into sports. So
we're here to help you. Can I tell you how proud I am of you tonight? I remember you as a 7th grade student at Roland Academy, and boy, did we have it. No, real. And Mr. Abdullah and I and others who were your teachers at the time tried to tell you then, but you learned. And can I tell you, as you stand here tonight, I'm very proud of the fact that you decided to get up out of that pew, stand behind that mic. And here's the thing, you still have high school to finish, so you still have a lot more of your life ahead of you. So I'm proud of who you, what I see right now. I laughed when you said, "Hey, Chief Carter," because I know you know it. But I'm proud of you. I mean, what you're doing right now, it makes me feel good, and I'm happy.
I mean, but yeah, at the high, I've been skipping class, but I mean, I got my act back straight. I've been good, getting good grades. Ever since I go to HASA now, it's an alternative school on Front Street. I mean, but I'm doing good. I don't got no slip ups there. I'm gonna keep it straight with y'all. I just came home from South Mountain from being locked up from doing something not illegal. I had a car. I mean, it wasn't illegal. My uncle was very upset with me, but I mean, I got his trust back. So he living with me. Me and him doing some good stuff.
Good.
He taking me out. I'm taking him places.
Can I tell you something? I wish one of the people who I wish I could have had here tonight, and we didn't have someone from the school district here, but the other person that I wish I could have here tonight to hear that is the Director of Public Works, Mr. Aaron Johnson. Aaron will tell you in a minute, I went to the alternative school, I did it all, but look at me now. What I'm saying to you is, what you've been involved in it doesn't have to define you. And you being here tonight, I'm telling you, I'm abundantly proud of you tonight.
I'm proud of myself too.
Thank you. Good.
You need to.
Good. Go ahead.
You need to remember one thing too, young man. And I'm trying to remember this in my own life right now. We call the past for a reason. You have the present now and the future. Don't focus on what you've done in the past. Focus on what you have ahead of you. And I promise you, we are going to try and make some things happen.
Yep.
I don't like the word try, I like the word do. I can't carry it all myself, but I'm excited about this, and I look forward to meeting more young men like yourself.
Absolutely.
Admit you did your wrongs, we all did. But the past is the past. Make your future.
Get him, sir. Go ahead, sir. One more thing? Go ahead.
As I was doing weight training at the high, I messed up. I was supposed to be playing football. I was supposed to play one game, and I couldn't. I had messed up because I was supposed to go somewhere with Mr. Dave. My mom told me, she was like, she really believed in me, like I was really going to do something for her. And I really messed up because I didn't go there. And then I had I just really embarrassed Mr. Dave and my aunt. She's a pastor at Martin Luther King Baptist Church, and then.
Let me tell you something. I don't want to cut you off. Carla, you got a great support system, bruh. You do.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Abdullah's still sitting there, and I'm sitting here. We're still here. Just because you went on to the high school doesn't mean that you can't reach back and tap into the very resources that have helped you then.
Oh yeah, my football coach is right back there too.
All right, so you know what I'm saying. So we hear you. But now, here's my challenge to you. Let your words match your actions. Right? And listen, Mr. Kurt, man, I got a whole bunch of young men in here, older men in here, that are willing to make sure you do the right thing. Thanks, bro. Let the young man behind you go.
Real quick, and it goes with that. I sense that you may be looking for forgiveness. It's all around you, young man.
All around you.
All around you. Okay? And yes, that is huge. You have to forgive yourself.
That's right.
And we all deal with it. It's not going to change in life. You're going to make mistakes. And yes, so leave him back there. Go ahead, young man.
Go ahead, sir.
My name is Nick Bird. I attend SciTech High School. I am the school board representative for the 11th grade. Growing up, I always had a good support system, and I seen it kind of fail and fall back, and I try to do the best that I can for my community. I'm part of that's the mission on Her Street with Mr. Chuck and Mr. Anthony, and I help a lot of kids in there, give a lot of back to the homeless, and I try to help out in any way that I can. I also work with Dave a lot, bringing a lot of kids to the Hope and Handball, and definitely being a part of that in my community. What I realized in myself is that laziness is something that I can't fix, and I can't stop being lazy. The thing that I have is I have people like Dave, and growing up, I always had people like Mrs. Singleton. I remember when I was a kid, Mrs. Singleton, somebody was acting up in the cafeteria, and now that goes back to the streets. You see someone acting up in the streets, I knew somebody like Mrs. Singleton would come in there, grip me up, and definitely hold my little self on his shoulders and take me to his office and have about a 5-minute conversation. I guarantee I'd walk out in tears because I know I was wrong, but definitely people like Mrs. Singleton and Chief who definitely would help out the young community as we stand today. I definitely want to say that safety definitely, my friend Judan here, every morning we wake up around, 6:50? 6:50, and I always text him, I'm like, you ready? He's like, yeah, we ready. And then we take a good old hike to school together. And we just do that every day. We walk to school every day. I mean, SciTech has blessed me with a bus pass, blessed me with a good education. And my first 2 years of high school, I blew it off. I didn't have that kind of motivation. I mean, Dave would try to beat it into me, but sometimes it just wouldn't work. So definitely what we need more of is role models. And as I look around in this room, I see some role models, but honestly, I can only say that about 2 people in this room are familiar faces. So I just want to see, more activity within high schools and more activity within the community. And I will help any way that I possibly can. I'll stand on the corners with my man and talk to anybody. And that's just the person I am. And I just want to see more people like Mr. Singleton, Chief, Otero, and the rest of the members on this table. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi, my name is Deb Waters, and I am a former employee of the Harrisburg School District. And one thing I want to say is that a solution may be, and I'm not sure how it can work, but as far as like getting grants and things like that, is that we need to bring more employment back into the city for our youth during the summer. A lot of our kids are traveling. Hershey employs a lot of them. But as far as my kids worked there for 4 years. I have a daughter in college now. She worked there for 4 years. My youngest one has been there for 2. I take them back and forth. That's a distance for our kids to travel on a daily basis. So if we bring employment back into the city like it was when I was a child, I'm sure a couple of other people who are my age in here, we work in the summer in the city on the playgrounds, build up our playgrounds. That way our youth are connecting with the younger kids again on the playgrounds and things like that. So if we would do some things like that. So that's the solution.
Thank you. Chief, we're going to wrap up. Chief, go ahead. I'll let you panelists say any closing remarks, then we're going to wrap it up on this end. So go ahead, please.
I know that back when I was growing up, SETCO program was big, and they employed a whole lot of people, a whole lot of youth. You know, I used to work for like 4 hours, get 4 hours worth of pay. Then another kid was coming after me, get 4 hours, you know, making money, you know, because our kids, they have a desire to make money. We have some smart youth here. They are not dumb kids. By no means of the word do we have any dumb kids here. We have a lot of intelligent, smart youth. We've been having a conversation in the mayor's office with Carl, reaching out to different businesses, employing youth, trying to get them to employ as many youth as we can for this coming summer. We have a real concern. There's literature out there that states, you know, I think it was Chicago or somewhere where they had a job drive, you know, and they got the youth jobs over the summertime, and the crime rate really dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, that jobs are definitely needed. And I want to say, you know, that I'm proud of every youth here that came to the microphone that talked today. We need that, you know, and regardless of what you did, it's your future that matters. I'm not concerned about your past, about, you know, what you did yesterday, last week. I want you to be healthy and happy today, tomorrow, and for this day forward. I'm still trying to get people of color to become police officers. Michael Simpson, who was one of the most prolific athletes in this year's school system. My boy Will back here, basketball player. I'm still trying to get them to join the force. You know, they are role models. They are good people. I'm very proud of them. Back when I was running the SRO system at the school, I had Michael, I had Will, and I had Brian. I had the Smoot boy, Brian Smoot. I had the Major, Garrett Majors, Danny Lanzana. That was an excellent class. I was on the basketball court with them. I went to practice with them, to the games with them. They won a state championship. I was on the football field with them. The relationship that we had and the trust that I built with these kids, you know, you just can't find that, you know, it was just great, fantastic. I think the SROs are needed in the schools because our youth learn how to talk to police learn how to talk to our youth, and the respect is there. I think that, you know, that is what's missing right now. For everybody that came out here tonight, I thank you for your time, and I hope that we can just take this here platform here and just keep building on it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. Anyone else from the panel want to give closing remarks? Please do so at this time.
Closing remarks. I'm going to briefly pick on I wasn't planning on speaking to or about the young men that came with me today, and I wasn't going to put my young guy, Carlos, on blast, but he put his information out there, and allow me to say this, he wasn't supposed to be here today. And what I'm getting at is, it's about positive and effective communication. He mentioned that he's part of the Abraxas program. When that was out, and I knew the time that this was held, I contacted his mom, I have a relationship with his mother. She says he can't because he's in an evening program that goes on until about 9 p.m. I contacted the Abraxas program that put me in touch with the gentleman, the director at HASA, and because I have a relationship with them, and there are rules in place that you're not supposed to be here, but we have positive relationship. Those rules we put in place, we're allowed to bend them for something positive, and they recognize why he should be here. That we're not talking about them, we're talking with them. Everybody from mom to Abraxas to the NRC program was in my text since 5 o'clock today. When I was with the chief texting and speaking with the mayor, and I left my handball program in a police vehicle to pick up Carlos, to come here, and he laughed. He says, I'm not getting that cop car. And I said, yeah, you are. We have to grab him, come on, get in here. But he knows why he's here. When he said he was going to come to the other meeting was the Ferguson meeting that we had at the Midtown Scholar that he didn't come to, but I never gave up on him. I knew why he was supposed to be here. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the things that are in place that we're supposed to be not breaking rules, but making the rules work for us to make sure that we reach out to these young men.
And you were hired a little while ago by the mayor's office.
Yes, sir.
to go into some of our city schools.
Yes, sir.
And you had a program going on in those schools, and I guess the plug got pulled on it just a little bit abruptly. Can you tell us a little bit about how you believe that will impact our students overall?
I was going to kind of lean into that. I appreciate that. And I was going to go back to the gentleman that's behind Mr. Jackson. He's my new best friend. The guy behind you that, because I didn't want to leave his question hanging.
Oh, that's Reverend Edwards. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When he was talking about the police academy and what we can do to get kids and adults involved with the police, we got two programs going on. The first one that Mr. Montgomery is speaking about, the reason he and I know each other is because I work with him through the school system and because I read to kids through the 500 Men Reading Program, and I made sure that I was in contact with him and his class for a number of years now, but specifically we have a junior cadet program. We have 13 students from Roland Academy, from Roland Elementary, and I am or was in constant contact with them with personal relationships, sitting in their kitchen and in their living room with their parents, and keeping the teachers and the principal and assistant principal in that conversation. That's something that we've been, and those kids are they were the Grand Marshal along with the chief during our holiday parade. Those kids are up here. That's where their self-esteem is. That's what we're doing, and that's the communication between our administration, the Harrisburg Police Department, and the school district, or at least with the schools individually. And secondly, if you can get his attention,
Reverend Edwards, he's speaking to one of your questions.
I wanted to make sure, because I didn't want to leave your question hanging about Police Academy, and I'm going to give a plug to our good friend and neighbor, Chief Umberger in Swatara Township. He has a Citizens Police Academy that will begin in February. And I'll put my information out there. I don't have the gentleman's information that's in charge, but I'll give my information for the purpose of the media. My direct number is 717-255-7326. dbotero@cityofhbg.com. I give you that to contact me, and I'll give you the contact information for the police academy. Although it's in Swatara, it is for all of the adjacent municipalities